Hello. Hello, hello. I'm back in another spot. The bag looks kind of weird. This bag is by. It's kind of weird. Not really weird, but. It's by this artist named Miss Jisoo. She's part of. Super Ani, I think is what the group is called. Yeah. Um. Which was founded by this dude named Kim Jung-gi. R.I.P. I have a couple of his books. Incredible. Incredible artist. Crazy. Like, one of the best of his generation for sure. He died really young. I think he was about 45 or so. And I'm glad I have a couple of his books. But, anyway. New spot. I like this spot a little better. I may, in the next video, may push it out a little bit more. But I don't want this in the way too much because it is kind of overwhelming. But I got my notes. Some stuff written down. And yeah, I'm here to learn. Then maybe you can learn with me. But today, or probably over the next week or so, because I tend to jump around from like, thing to thing and like, ooh, what is this about? What is this about? What is this about? So this concept, this video idea, is a way to, work on something for about a week or so, learn about it, progressively learn more until like tomorrow. I'll talk about some things based on what I'm trying to learn and express, what I think about it, what I feel like I know about it. And then tomorrow, I may come with information that, contradicts what I said the day before, but it's because I'm learning. So, that's what it's all about, getting better. Anyway, my topic for today is metaphysics. Whoa. Not physics. Numbers are hard. Really hard. Hey, don't do that. Yeah, sorry. Metaphysics. So, metaphysics. And this is all information that I found from one website. And the website was called spiritualmeaningsguide.com. So, I don't know how reliable of a source that is. But tomorrow, I'll have more information. So maybe it turns out it is a good source. But anyway, metaphysics is, a branch of science, or you could say philosophy. I think it's more philosophical. But it does explore some scientific concepts and ideas and things like that. But it explores, the basic structure of reality. So some of the questions that arise from this and questions that we try to answer would be, what is existence? What is the nature of objects and their properties? So me, my mind, my brain, things like that, the world around us, the things we experience. Do abstract concepts like numbers exist independently of human thought? And then, what is the relationship between mind and matter? And there's definitely thousands of questions within, like, metaphysics, things you try to answer. And you could even break these, obviously, these are meant to be broken down, because the only way to answer them, or try to answer them, don't do that. I know, I'm being a butthead right now. Yeah, the only way to come to answers for these kind of questions is to break them down into smaller, more digestible questions. Because, like, if you were to just try to answer what is existence, there's a lot to that, So metaphysics derives from the word, or the Greek words, meta, which means before and after, or beyond or after, and then physica, which just relates to, the physical world around us. So it essentially means, what lies beyond the physical world. So the structure of reality, and so trying to figure that out. Um, and a couple branches of philosophy within the metaphysical sphere would be ontology, which is the nature of being and existence. So, why am I here? Why do I exist? Why does anything exist? Things like that. Cosmology, which is cosmology in the philosophical sense, because you have like quantum physics and things like that like try to explain the universe through, like, I would say, empiricism in a way. They're looking at the facts, trying to like create equations that can like quantify why these things happen. But through cosmology, with cosmology philosophically, you come into like, theology, religion, more specifically, and trying to explain the universe through like monotheistic, polytheistic, atheistic worldviews, things like that. Just trying to explain the origin structure and eventual fate of the universe, because there is an end to it, I'd imagine, and maybe we'll find an answer. Probably not, and that's okay too. But the next one would be epistemology. So the study of knowledge and belief, how we come to know things, why we believe what we believe, how our knowledge shapes us, the limits of our understanding, how far can we know, how much can we know, and how we acquire this knowledge, things like that. That was one of like the branches of philosophy that I've been looking into the past couple of days. There's a lot there, because it's essentially like breaking down how we know the things we know, why I know the things I know, why I want to know the things I want to know, and there's a lot to that, a lot. And then modality, which I'm not sure if that's really, well, I can't say that. I don't know. Epistemology. But modality is essentially, the study of like possibility, necessity, and contingency. And what makes something possible, what makes something necessary, and why are some things contingent on other things happening or not happening, and it also goes into like, alternative realities, things like that. So what do I think? What do I think I know about these things? How far are we? 8 minutes? I don't want to make it too long. Well, what do I want to start with? Let's just start with these main questions for metaphysics. So what is existence? The nature of objects and their properties. Do abstract concepts like numbers exist independently of human thought? And what is the relationship between mind and matter? Okay. So I'll attempt to answer what is existence. I gotta start talking slower. I don't want to stumble over my words too much, which is bound to happen. So what is existence? I guess it's this right here. Like, you're experiencing this, and this is your existence currently. But I'd say that's more of reality. I don't know if existence and reality are definitely two different things. They intertwine. Okay. So I was looking into some what would this even fall under? I was using this database for like articles and books and things like that through my library at school. And I think I used fear as like the search word. And something, I don't know, it wasn't really related to fear. What came up was something about language and social calculus, which I didn't really know existed. We use it every day, apparently. And it's not, I could try to explain it, but I'd probably give you a pretty convoluted explanation. So, if it's something that sounds interesting, feel free to look it up. Because I mean, it's existing in this conversation right now. Like you're performing social calculus. But anyway, there was this model. I think it was Poppy's model or Popper's model. I think it's Poppy's. But essentially, it breaks down the world into three worlds essentially. So you have actuality, which is world 1, virtuality, which is world 2, and then reality, which is world 3. And so what's happening here, from what I read, is actuality is the nature of a relationship between two things. Not you. Well, I guess it could be you and that thing. Well, it is, okay. But anyway, let's say you're observing two people and their relationship. Okay. So their versions of their relationship to each other is actuality. But you can't experience that. So what social calculus does is it creates the virtuality in your head, which is like, you start putting numbers together, you create an equation for what their relationship is. And then you get an end product, which is reality, your reality. But because you can never experience the actuality of what their relationship is from their perspectives, their reality, the virtuality is your reality, and your reality becomes actuality. But it's not their actuality, but it is, actuality in the sense that, this is how I perceive it, And then what's the word for that? When you project. So you're projecting your reality onto that, which becomes actuality in a way. That becomes how you see it, how you see their relationship. And so your reality gets projected onto them, and then it becomes a separate entity in itself, and then that goes on and does its thing. But it's not. It could be what's happening if you're that intuitive and you you kind of break it down, but more than likely it's not. That doesn't really explain what existence is. I kind of went off on a tangent. I think it's kind of related in a way. I'd say that more falls in line with modality and whatever, that school of thought is all about. But anyway, existence. Existence is subjective. I guess existence would be reality, as you see it. And I think, who was it? It may have been Immanuel Kant, where he talks about how you have phenomena, which is what we observe. I can observe my cat. I can observe, my dog's under the bed, so I can't see her right now. I know she's there. Or do I? I don't know. Yeah, she is there. I can observe my bed, my computer, my TV. But then beyond that, you have, how these things actually exist in the world, which would be objective reality or actuality. No, don't do that. Which is what he called noumena. So you have phenomena, which is what we observe, and then noumena, which is what actually is. And so I guess you could say that that's actuality versus reality. And so I guess existence would be the noumena that we can't observe, and then we project our reality, which would be, the phenomena that we can see, onto the world around us. And then we believe that that's what's real, that's what's actually happening. And sometimes it is, a lot of times it isn't, because hey, this cat better not be scratching up the wall. What are you doing? Quit. Get out of there. Go. I'm not cutting that out. Sorry. Where was I? I don't remember. I can always go back and watch it, and then continue in the next video. Another one that I thought was pretty cool and pretty interesting is do abstract concepts like numbers exist independently of human thought? I mean, numbers are a way to quantify the phenomena, like the things that are happening in the world. And I think essentially, it plays a role similar to religion, I think, in a way, but only in the sense that, like, it helps us create a construct of, like, the things that are happening, in the same way religion helps us answer a lot of, like, the fundamental questions, like, what is existence, things like that. And so, like, you could look at stars dying as just the stars dying, and as a natural occurrence, which it is. Everything dies, entropy, things like that. But we can break it down into numbers. Yeah, that's what quantum physics does. Quantum physics, I'd say physics as a whole, in a way, which I don't really. I have gone into quantum physics a little bit, but it's a surface level knowledge, and I can't really. There's a lot of stuff I'm not able to explain. I can't explain any of it. I'll say that. But yeah, it's numbers are simply a way to quantify the world around us. For better or for worse. We don't have to quantify how long we would live. I'm from the U.S., and so I think the average lifespan is 75 years, which is a long time. Like, we're lucky to even have that, really, because it's probably the highest ever. I think Japan has the highest, but it's up there for sure. That's a long time. But, like, why do we even have to quantify that? Why would we want to quantify that? Why would we want to know an approximate time when we die? I guess it can create a sense of urgency, like, oh man, like, I'm 27. I have 53 years left, approximately. I've already lived a third of my life. And that's kind of depressing. There's a lot of things that I've done, and a lot of things that I haven't done, and a lot of things that I want to do. And it's like, do I have enough time? Which time is another one. Time is essentially, and it's not, I wouldn't even say essentially, I think this is what it is, we're quantifying, it's the same with life. We're quantifying events to create a timeline. And so we can, like clocks, why do we need clocks? I mean, like, at a deeper level, obviously, we're just quantifying our days. We're quantifying our months. We're quantifying our weeks. Quantifying the years. Like, for most of human existence, we just relied on the sun coming up, and then once the sun was at the top of the sky, it's like, okay, I think it's time to do this. And then it went a little bit farther, and you're like, okay, I think it's time to do this. And then by the time it set, it's like, all right, time to wind down, time to go relax, time to go hang out with the family, the tribe, things like that. But now we can see every second. Or you could call it a second. Really, the seconds are just things happening moment by moment. Like, I'm at 19 minutes and 30 seconds. But really, each second has just been me spitting out words, thinking, things like that. So, like, time is just actions in sequential order. But we don't have to quantify. We could just look at it as actions in an order. We don't have to put numbers behind it. And I think it would honestly probably be more helpful if you didn't. Because it's like, you could say, I spent X amount of time playing video games today. And then it's like, well, like, let's say you spent 8 hours playing games today. But if it's your job, animals are being loud. If it's your job and you're getting paid for it, sick. And also, I mean, even if it's not your job, sometimes spending 8 hours playing games a day is nice. It's fun, depending on what you're playing. But if you were to take away the 8 hours, it's like, I did this today. And then the idea of like spending the time doesn't even occur, because like spending the time has like feelings in itself. And so it's like, if you spend X amount of time doing one thing, you can feel bad about spending that time. But if you I can't even explain it in ways that aren't relative to time. I'm trying to. Let's just say I did this thing today. Now, you separate it from like the feeling of like either wasting time or spending time productively, or like, you know, however like you want to like qualify that time in like good ways, bad ways, things like that. But then it's like, you know, I did this today and it made me feel this, and I got to, you know, hang out with my friends virtually, but it's still hanging out with your friends. You know, you still get to talk to them and like, you know, having an experience. And I'd say that's probably a better way to look at it than, you know, I spent, you know, this much time doing one thing, and now I get to feel bad about it because I could have spent that time doing other things, rather than just looking at the experience as the experience itself. That's it. That is what it is. You know, that is the experience. That is existence. You know, the existence is moment by moment, and the moments contain, you know, actions, thoughts, feelings. The moment's not a number. My dog and cat are wrestling right now. It's fun to watch sometimes. Well, it's fun to watch every time. What? Keep going. Do your thing. Don't be too loud though. But yeah, you know. And I may have said a lot of nothing in this video. And it's very possible actually. That has to be a new feature. You can pause the video, but then pick it back up. Hey. Would you want to wear those? Safety goggles while you're fighting the cat? I can pause the video and then, but like continue the recording, and I feel like that hasn't been there recently, and I didn't update my phone. Interesting. But yeah, you know, maybe I said a lot of nothing, and it's possible, and maybe in a couple days I'll say a little bit of something, and then not as much nothing. I mean, but at the end of the day, this was something to me. And I think that's what it's all about, you know. And if you made it this far, then thank you. It may have been hard to sit through at times, but I appreciate it, you know. And, you know, if you have insight and knowledge for me, then please share it. You know, feel free to share it. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I have a lot of questions, you know, and not a lot of answers. But I'm trying to find them out. And that's what we're trying to do. So, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment, you know. Let me know what you think. Say hi. Say bye. You know. Whatever you want. And I hope you have a good day. And week, you know. We just hit the middle of the week, Wednesday. So we got Thursday, Friday, then the weekend. But don't look forward to the weekend. There's a lot of time in between that. a lot of moments, a lot of actions, a lot of positive thoughts, maybe some negative thoughts. That's just part of life. So, I hope you have a good one. I hope you sleep well. I hope you have amazing dreams. And I hope you continue learning. Quit that. And with that, I'm off. Peace.